Good morning, this is June 23rd, 2024, and this is week 2 of Modern Sporting Rifle. My name is Jeffrey Lashley, and today we're going to show you the exploded view before we put the AR-10 together. Everything is laid out as it was in week 1. You can see all the parts, everything laid out properly based off of the curriculum. Next thing was going to show or talk about 6 items randomly picked and go over the cycle of operation and what the purpose of each one is. So the first item was the bolt carrier group. The bolt carrier group is not assembled at this time, but the actual housing, the carrier group holds the bolt, and this is the actual driving function. The movement within the rifle that will go through feeding, chambering, locking, unlocking, and cocking. At the end of the video, once the rifle is assembled, I'll show you exactly how it how it acts during the process. But the bolt carrier group is the actual, pretty much the mastermind of the entire rifle. The next item was the buffer assembly. The buffer assembly is essentially a weighted piece with a spring on it. The cycle of operations is feeding, chambering, locking, and unlocking. And essentially this item is what causes the inertia of the bolt to be able to move forward and back. The gas will push the bolt back. The spring and buffer will push it back forward and slam it and close it. So very important piece. Next is the bolt. So this is the actual bolt. It goes inside the bolt carrier group. This has gas rings, and it's essentially the same as the carrier group. It goes through the feeding, chambering, locking, unlocking, and cocking. But the bolt has an extractor and an ejector integrated in it. So this is what actually pushes the casing, the fired casing, out of the chamber, or out of the ejection port. And again, at the end of the video, I'll show you how this actually works. Next is the buttstock. So this is something that was not, it was picked, but it doesn't play a role in the cycle of operations, but it does hold the buffer tube, or the buffer and buffer assembly, but it does not actually play a role. The only thing that it does is this is a shoulder, mount for placing it in your shoulder and for stability of firing the weapon. Next is the bolt catch plunger. So we have the bolt catch and the plunger and all the accessories that go with it. Again, it does not play a role in the cycle of operation, but whenever when the weapon is fired and there's no more rounds to fire, the magazine is empty, the bolt catch will hold the bolt to the rear, and the plunger is what manipulates the internal portion of that catch, and then release it, and the bolt will go home. Next is the hammer. The hammer is for firing and cocking. Without this, the firing pin cannot be struck. So whenever the spring release, the trigger is pulled and it releases the sear for the hammer. The hammer will go and hit the firing pin and then cause the round to fire. And then whenever the bolt is coming back, it'll catch it and it will cock it back into position for the next round to be fired. So there's my 6 items right there. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, assemble the rifle, and then we'll start back up from there. Thank you. All right, now that we have the rifle together, I will go through the cycle operations. The first thing we'll do is make sure that it is on safe. We will double check the chamber to make sure it is clear of any ammunition. visually and physically check the chamber. My work area is clear of any ammunition. I do have a dummy round that I will be using to show each step. So from there, I will insert the magazine, and I will show the first step of feeding. Pulling the charging handle to the rear, it strips a round out of the magazine, feeds it into the chamber, and as the bolt turns, it will lock. So we have feeding, chambering, and locking almost simultaneously. The higher pressure cartridges have to be locked, so that's why that bolt moves and locks with the chamber. From there, you can fire it, put it on fire, pull the trigger. The hammer hits the firing pin, causing the cartridge to go off. Gases travel through the gas tube back, pushing the bolt carrier group to the rear, which causes unlocking of the bolt, and then it will extract the round and eject it by using the ejector and the extractor on the end of the bolt. And this is how it locks. It moves whenever the bolt's moving forward and aft. It's locking and unlocking. And then simultaneously, as the bolt moves to the rear, it is recocking the hammer and prepares it to be able to fire again each time you pull the trigger. So I've run through the 8 cycles of operation. The rifle is working properly, and I look forward to the next assignment. Thank you.